What's up, family? What's up? Long time no let it rip. But your boy's here. And I have to announce, unfortunately, that I am still having some difficulties with the Facebook. Although I love Facebook and Facebook's where I got my start. I did 9 years of my podcast on Facebook, and I am now on YouTube. And I love YouTube. It's just, I feel a certain sense of loyalty to all my Facebook peeps that have been watching me all these years. But tonight I have to start on my way back to prosperity as the main voice on this R8RBEAR family page. Where's my phone? Excuse my incredible rustiness. It is due to the simple fact that I'm rusty. No, it's not that. I just I have stuff going off and people calling and texting me and stuff like that, and I didn't come in super ready tonight. I mean, I do with Raider football. I got all that stuff, but I don't have all that other stuff though. That's the problem. All right, so let's get to it. That sounded weird. Bow. No. See, I'm not technically started yet. Okay, so for those of you who wonder why you haven't heard music and all that other stuff, I haven't started yet. I mean, but when I start, I'll let you know. I'm just catching you all up on stuff, and then we're going to talk about this other stuff. Oh God, football news drives me crazy. It really does. Okay, so I've got like 4 people watching me. That's awesome. Everyone thinks I'm going to be on Facebook tonight, and I thought I was going to be on Facebook tonight, and they told me I was going to be on Facebook tonight, and then they pulled the wool out from under me at the last minute. So everyone that's watching me now on YouTube, just bear with me for a moment. Bear with R8RBEAR. But yeah, I'm just waiting to let some of the people on Facebook recognize that I messed up, and they're just going to have to come to YouTube and check me out. Well, I didn't mess up. Facebook messed up because they told me I was good, and then I go to start tonight, and it says I'm not good. Consider a subscription to R8RBEAR family page. On YouTube, it's totally free, and tokens contribute to the show go directly to charities like the Kind Fund, Kids in Need of Desks. It's pretty awesome. And we've sent many children in Africa to school on sponsorship just from people like you, and we really appreciate it. We also work with Punks for Autism. That's one near and dear to me. My daughter is a surviving warrior of autism. She's doing really, really good. She's in college, and she's doing great. And I have a lot of Raider football to talk to you guys about. Once again, I'm just giving everyone a chance to get in here before I get started. Hi, Anna. What's up, Anna? Welcome to the show. Carlos Magana. What's up, brother? Welcome to the show. John the Lion. Leon, what's up? Troy Gill, how you doing, Troy? Welcome to the show. I'm gonna, you know what? I want you guys to get your questions in now. John Leon, I appreciate you always get right to it. Carlos Magana, give me those questions. And I appreciate you, man. Much love. I'm gonna just put that up now. He watches your boy either way. He got love, and I got love. Appreciate you, brother. If we haven't met already, let me know if there's any events, Carlos Magana, that you're going to be going to throughout the year. And if you are, I'll see if I can't be there so we can hook up and talk and stuff. Oh, look at this. I just got this as a gift. Talk about cool Raider mail. Watch this. You'll love this. Oh, whoa. Check this out. It's all good. Oh, Raider machete. That's right. It's a Raider freaking machete. Tell me that's not the coolest thing you've ever seen. Silver and black etched Raider machete. And it's so dope too. It's light. It's got that like Damascus sword kind of thing about it. And I came with this real nice sheath. I'm like so happy. I was even thinking about auctioning one off on the show, but that one's mine. And one more time. Hi, Anna. Welcome to the show. Alexa, play Hide by NASA.
Here's Hide.
Ooh. We'll get the sexy volume. Alexa, raise volume by 4. That's my wife's chair with her pillow. Let me see. Which one does she have right now? That's cute. Trust me, I'm going to say some stuff that's going to surprise you tonight. I swear. There's some news going around right now that's really surprising. And I have a little bit of a dip of info notice on that stuff. So we're going to do this. Wait, what? I'm ready! Facebook can suck it. Anna, don't make me laugh that hard when I'm in the middle of my monologue. What are you doing to me? I love that movie. So much to discuss. I swear. Often imitated, never duplicated. That fool with no hair that shouts like Ric Flair. What? You heard me. You probably did. The R8RBEAR! R8RBEAR! Why did my voice break? It's not like I haven't been doing the show. I haven't been doing the show. I've been too busy. And Facebook gave me the police thing, and I was just like, you know what? I don't even feel like fighting with Facebook right now. You know what I mean? It's the holidays. I'm in a great mood. You can't met my mood is bulletproof right now. Okay, I'm serious. I could accidentally kill a basket of bunnies in a car accident, and I'd feel bad, but it still wouldn't mess with my mood. That sounded bad. I know everyone likes bunnies, so it didn't go over well. I love you guys. I was just kidding. All right, here we go. Alexa, stop. All right, here we go. So first and foremost, tradition! R8RBEAR Live first comment. Woo! MVP tonight goes to Carlos Magana. Quickly becoming me carnal around here and R8RBEAR family page. Second place, silver medal comment goes to John the Lion. Leon, what's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Always there for R8RBEAR. But the third place, my bronze medal goes to Bear. He won the bronze on shouting bear to me. Mark Vargas. I love it when they do that with fighters, where they just say their name really hard and high, and then they let it come down really low. Mark Vargas. I love that. All right, so what's up, everyone? Welcome to the show. Appreciate you all tuning in, saying hi to, obviously, Anna. And let me see who else do I watch me here. Jim Vandalin, what's up, Jim? Welcome to the show. Yeah, Jim, I do know I'm not on Facebook. I'm still on some sort of ban with them right now that I don't even want to talk about because their faces are stupid. And they are. Their faces are stupid. I don't understand what they're doing to me over here. Your boy doesn't even curse on his show. You know, I only play one song, and it doesn't have copyright infringement issues, so I can play it as much as I like. I don't get in trouble for it. And it was my favorite song anyway. I just got lucky with that. But, you know, what are you going to know? All right, I'm 10 minutes in, and I haven't said a thing about the Raiders, so I'm going to stop that now. All right, sorry about that. So we're going to talk about the team. We're going to talk about the latest in the news. And then we're going to talk about who's hit, who's hurt, who's not hurt, what the injury report is going into our game against these Chargers. You know, it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. The board has not updated completely yet, but we do have some understanding of how it's going to go, and we will talk about that next. But first and foremost, we have to talk about what's going on with the team, and I'm going to answer some of your questions right now. Let's see. As AP, our coach next year, in your opinion, John Leon, I do not think Antonio Pierce is going to be our coach next year. Now, when I say that very softly because he has enough games coming up that if he were to win a few of these games and looked like the reason we won, in other words, there would be a flow to the game that Antonio Pierce introduces his knowledge to that moment, and then that moment causes them to not only win a game, but it stand out that he made these calls and these decisions and his time management was like this. If he can do that, we could see something. Now, he's gotten a very strong vote of confidence from the locker room, but more importantly, from its best player, Max Crosby. Max Crosby has made it very clear he wants him to be retained as the head coach. Now, I think part of the reason he's doing that is because he wants to say, like most players do, players win and lose games, not coaches. Coaches, you should think, are even less to blame when how much can they really impact the game once it starts? Think about that. They just stand there and shout the whole game. They get mad. They curse at the refs. They argue with the refs. They never get a call changed or anything like that. You just see the coach constantly shouting and waving his arms. And then, calls go as they do on the field. But, do they really impact the game? A good coach can do that. But I would argue there's only maybe 3 or 4 of those in the league. The rest of them just come up with a game plan, and then they just throw that game plan onto the field with their players, and they hold on tight and hope it works. But, like Staley with the Chargers, that's why he's getting ready to get fired. The same head coach with the Chargers who, when he got hired, when they hired him, your boy R8RBEAR said that guy's soon to be fired and he will win nothing. And everyone thought I was crazy because that was the year they got Herbert, and his firearm and his rookie season was one of the best we'd ever seen from a rookie quarterback. That's a fact. Look it up. And now he's regressing. He's starting to look like a bum. They're losing games. And now he's got a broken little finger. And so he's going to get a little surgery on his finger, and they're shutting him down for the season. And they know why. The team's not any good. The team's not any good. The coach is not any good. So right now they're in a free fall. He's going to get fired. That's, bottom line. Now about AP. AP is kind of in the same predicament. How much of what we saw was impressive? The defense. Pretty much just the defense, right? And so you say, oh, that's a part of what Antonio Pierce's strongest suit is. He comes from a background of being not just a defensive coach, but a defensive player on the field and at this level. And so you may lean that that's what's happening with the team, where a lot of people would actually argue that Patrick Graham, our defensive coordinator, who a lot of people wanted to fire, don't realize 2 huge things that I'd like to just throw out there for everybody real quick. First, the personnel on this team has only changed slightly, and yet you're seeing a drastic improvement from your defense. That is the effect of Patrick Graham and his coaching and his methods, getting to know his players. Remember, it's like chess, but unlike chess in football, you have to kind of trust a player and say, I'm going to move that piece here and move that piece here, just like chess. And he's starting to trust these guys. He's starting to understand who he has on the field, and he's making smarter, sometimes just flat out, just being more aggressive, because he trusts these players more now because he knows them better now and they know him. And so he's starting to make calls that are starting to really make a difference on the field. And so now there's an argument that, does Patrick Graham get elevated as the Raiders' next head coach? At the bare minimum, they're saying he should get an interview. Whether AP retains the job or not, you're still going to do a job search. AP is just a part of that job search. And you would argue he has the best foot in the door opportunity to get the job. But then there are others that would argue that it's exactly the opposite, that he was a comfort level. He is an interim coach in Mark Davis's mind only. And he won't say that or act like that because that does a disservice to Antonio Pierce, and that's not necessary. And more importantly, if you let Antonio Pierce know you'd already made up your mind in that way, maybe Antonio Pierce doesn't give his best effort. And Antonio Pierce is already starting to hear whispers from other teams who are saying, if the Raiders are crazy enough to let you go, give us a call. And so if we don't give him the head job, just like Rich Bisaccia had to leave, because there's some kind of, I don't know, some kind of weird, like a mental emotion that's applied to these coaches that if they try for a higher job, it's somehow humiliation if they go back to what they were doing before. I don't understand that even slightly. Rich Bisaccia was one of the best special teams guys in the business, one of the best. Now, you were talking about head coaching. I never wanted Rich Bisaccia. I'll say that to everyone without blinking. And I know there are a lot of Raider fans who think he should have gotten the job. I never thought that because he wasn't a strategist. He didn't understand mid-game game changes. And we know this because he'd never been a head coach at any level. You can't trust your faith in that and then, and then be surprised when it stinks because it would have stunk. Okay, so now moving forward, you've got AP. Do you keep him? I say no because he's looking like he can't make adjustments. And more importantly, when you're in a 0-0 game and you can't win that game, I mean, the guy who's head coaching for the Vikings right now isn't going to keep the job. He knows it. He is a stopgap until the owner makes another decision. So there's no disharmony there with the locker room or anything else. They're just going to go out there and stink and try to be better than stink and win a game. And the Raiders were, no, this might be our coach. We got to go out there and fight for him. AP's thinking, I might be able to keep this job. If I can get a little win streak, I can get Raider Nation behind me. Maybe Mark Davis will feel obligated to give me a shot. Who knows? But right now, I don't see that in the cards. I don't think there'll be another embarrassing we can't score game. I hope. I mean, you would have thought if I told you we were going to have a game where we go in the fourth quarter and we have 0 points, you probably would start laughing. If for no other reason that our kicker can put him up from 60. You know what I mean? But we didn't even give him an opportunity to make even one of those realistic. It was just bad. It was just bad. And we'll go into that in a minute, but I just wanted to make that point. Will AP be the next coach of the Raiders? I'm going to give you a strange answer. I'm going to say yes, but still behind the scenes, not for us as fans. They won't let us know this, but behind the scenes, they will see him as interim, even if they gave him like a 3-year deal. If you really think about it, if they see this team now as a rebuild, why not start with him? Go with a 3-year thing, just start moving in players that can play, solidify positions. And then in a year, maybe 2, you've got a coach that's hot from the outside, looks at the Raiders and says, you know what? They built that, franchise up a little bit. That little interim coach is probably going to slide back down to whatever he was doing. And I'm going to go in there and, win some games. And you got to figure that's going to happen because the only way Antonio Pierce was going to be able to keep the job and have Mark look at him as something other than an interim or an assistant that got elevated. Because I'll be honest with you, even I saw assistant coordinator coach kind of material when we started, losing a game here, losing a game there. And then he had to come out and talk about it. And you just see his face. And he's like, well, it's just, the way it is. If you're not, working with that offensive line, and you got to give their credit to their blah, blah, blah. And he just started giving us BS. And it wasn't dishonest BS. It just wasn't the truth. He wasn't, really saying what he felt. He was just saying, oh, yeah, this broke down and we didn't execute. It just felt like TV talk. Trade Adams, I say yes. Honestly, John, I never feel like one wide receiver makes a team, but I disagree with you in this sense. To me, when you have a guy like Devontae Adams, you never let go of that guy. If we lose him, it's a mistake. It just is. I disagree with you completely because everyone wants a player like that until they get one. And now suddenly, because you want to get a headache or two from him, you should let him go or trade him. I could agree with you, John, if you think the Raiders are at the basement of a rebuild, but I don't think they are. I think that a lot of the staff on this team just requires an offensive coordinator coach that, or even if the coach isn't an offensive coordinator, if they're a defensive coordinator like Antonio Pierce, but you have to bring in a guy that offensively can make an offense that's not offensive to watch. That was so bad. I felt bad for Aiden, but we'll get on that in a minute too. Okay. We need a new quarterback and coach, and I want offensive guy to fix it. Troy Gill, I was kind of leaning that way in my comment because I know that really is the hot thing right now, but I don't like to get caught up in that because to me, football is football. this idea that now somehow football has turned into a league where only offensive coordinators that are head coaches can then make the offense be unstoppable. Okay, first, I know what a lot of you are talking about. You're talking about the Niners. You're talking about the Eagles. You're talking about the Dolphins, right? Okay, the Dolphins without Tyreek Hill suck. In the games Tyreek Hill hasn't gone for 100 yards, they're 1-4. And Tua Tagliavai soon to be on another team. I don't care what kind of numbers Tua Tagliavoa has put up. I don't care how many games he's won. I told all of you right into the camera that, in my opinion, Tua Tagliavoa would be a bust that was out of the league within 3 years because of his injury history in the past, and that it would catch up with him in the pros. I'm right. It just hasn't happened yet. But R8RBEAR! But no, sorry, I got a bad one there. But I do, very important to get off that good one. That one was even better. I do think that's important though. I really do. All right, here we go. What about James Walker, family in the house? What's up, brother? Hi, Princetta. Welcome to the show, you guys. Yeah, Facebook's getting real sensitive. Hi, Kim Calhoun. Mwah, welcome to the show. Appreciate you finding me. Eve Adams. Hi, Mr. Bear. It's me, Val. I had to use my made-up email. Wait a minute. Val, I love you, girl. I know how irritating it is when you got to suddenly run and find your tablet, log into it. You forgot your password. Oh, doggone. Oh, yeah. Fruitylicious. Bang. And, you did all that for me just to catch me on YouTube, and I appreciate that. By the way, for everyone watching, it's not actually Fruitylicious. Don't try that. That won't work. If you want a hacker, you got to call me. Come up with some money. I'm not going to say that's not true because you should all know that's not true. But it's not true. Do you think that AP took over our defense? Is it better? John Leon, no. And I already said this, but I'm just going to say it again briefly. Patrick Graham is bringing the defense together. It has nothing to do with, okay, whoa. I shouldn't get out in front of my skis like that. I was about to say it had nothing to do with Antonio Pierce because he has too much to do on his plate with the fact that he's the head coach. And the fact that the offense played so poorly might actually lean as evidence toward maybe he was devoting too much time to the defense, the defensive players, and Patrick Graham and his scheme to get everything on the right page. And suddenly they built this defense and it's a wall, and the offense got ignored with its little puppy quarterback, at the wheel, the kid from Purdue. I'm just going to go ahead and say this because I'm sick of hearing it. I am not, I repeat, not convinced that Aiden O'Connell can't be our future. Did everyone get that? Because I'm seeing this just mountainous wave washing over Raider Nation of people saying, oh, look at that. Aiden O'Connell ain't the one. Let's go get whoever, Calvin Williams or whatever the flavor of the month will be in a month. But, honestly, I don't get it. I'm trying to come here now and chin check Raider Nation. Okay, we're gonna get through this together. Okay, take a deep breath. Okay, here's the truth. He had a bad game that was really bad, that was complicated by a Colton Miller who still isn't at our left tackle position, the most important position on your offensive line. Without question, we don't have our best. Now we go out and we reach out for two players. We brought in, oh God, I can't remember the second guy's name, but Fluker was the big offensive lineman that we brought on, DJ Fluker. And also we re-signed Brandon Parker. Brandon Parker, you all know well. You've heard his name 100 times. And because of his familiarity with the team, that's probably part and parcel why they reached out to him again. I don't think that's a bad idea. I realize there's a lot of people that exhaled and they took a deep breath. And then I said Brandon Parker, and they went, oh, come on, Bear. Please bear with me. Please bear with the R8RBEAR. The truth is, Brandon Parker had flashes where he gave you good games. I'm not saying he's a great player. I'm saying he's a good player. Did he get beat sometimes? Of course. What offensive line doesn't? Every team in the league is complaining about their offensive line, except for like the Eagles and the Niners and, the teams that are, doing well because they have had their team together for a while, their offensive line together for a while. And so they're not seeing the same issues we are. But we're seeing a lot of injuries. We had to bring in DJ Fluker, an experienced big left tackle. He's already won the job, even though he'd been out of the league almost entirely for a minute, but he showed up in shape. And so now they're going to go with him. Alpha and Omega Forever. What's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Sup back at you. Tommy, what's up, little brother? Welcome to the show. Carlos Magana, I always bring the knowledge. That's what I do, brother. What's your option for a feared offensive coordinator in the league? I like the offensive coordinator with the Saints. I think he actually is a good play caller. Not so much a design guy. I think it's more of a play caller guy. The little bit I know about him, I forget his name. I apologize, but I was actually studying him. There was another coordinator I really liked. I know Dallas's guy is really hot right now because they got rid of Kellen Moore. And when they got rid of Kellen Moore, the Dallas Cowboys got rid of their offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore. And he went to the Chargers. Dallas got better and the Chargers got worse. So that's just an indictment on, Kellen Moore. Now, does that mean Kellen Moore's a bad coach? That you can't really tell that, from the little bit of time he's been there, but it doesn't look good because you went from Dallas and looking like he was regressing to now the Chargers are looking like he's making them regress. Also, the kid that went to the Dolphins with the guy that was the head coach of the Dolphins is the former offensive coordinator with the Niners. Now, he was doing that offense and building that with Shanahan. Now, is it mostly Shanahan's or the guys, or is it the guys and, not so much Shanahan's? I don't know. I just know when he went to the Dolphins, they started with a Kraken offense. Now, the Kraken offense, though, is linked really, really hard to Tyreek Hill. Now, that's a good thing. The guy's going to finish with 2,000 yards as a wide receiver. I think no one's done that. I don't think anyone's done that. And he's on a pace right now. He'll do it even if he missed a game or two. But that's not the point. The point is that if we were to hire a guy like the offensive coordinator who's working for the Dolphins right now underneath their head coach, who truly is that offensive coordinator, I think that guy could come right into our house and just have us, Air Coryell flying through the air. You know what I mean? And a real impressive offense right from Jump Street. Eli W says the carousel has to stop. Outside of Harbaugh, who are you going to get? Well, I would get someone outside of Harbaugh. Let's get that right out of the way. Eli, I'm not a Harbaugh guy. I realize that he has a record. I realize what he did with the Niners. I just feel like what he did with the Niners was ripe fruit slowly rotting, and he was there when it was at its ripest. And then he just was there while it slowly rotted under his pressure and under his guidance. He had a team with Mr. Neal, Colin Kaepernick, that, I'm black, and even I didn't agree with Colin Kaepernick kneeling in football games. It's where you work. I'm just going to keep it at that. It's not a racial thing. It's not white or black. It's not male or female. Why are you doing it at work? He's a famous guy. Everyone knows who he is. If they don't, put your jersey on and then go to a press conference and kneel. And when all the reporters ask you what you're doing, say I'm kneeling for the oppressed and for African Americans all over the world, and then do your whole thing there. It would have got just as much press. The press would have pushed it just as hard, and he probably wouldn't have, got thrown out of the league for at least another 3, 4, maybe 5 years. But instead, he's been gone longer than that, and he's a washed-up old man that shows up every season with another stupid video of him in all black with his gigantic, ridiculous afro, which, by the way, he's never had in his life. And then all of a sudden, when he's this phony, racial advocate, he grows his hair into it. Okay, I'm moving on before I say something else mean, because I think that guy's an idiot. The only thing I didn't like was the Gazers at halftime. Oh, the Gassers at halftime. Yeah. To be honest, while I thought we should have scored, both sides played great defense. Jim Vanlin, I don't agree with that. I think both sides played good defense, and then our defense was getting greater as the game went on because the Vikings were starting to flag, which is all the more reason why Tommy starting the word, when you say the starting to flag, that means it just means tired. But anyway, the team started to flag and we started to take advantage of their offensive line. That's all I saw, especially when you consider the guy who we've all been waiting to have a good game finally had one in Tyrese Wilson, who got a sack, like 4 tackles, 2 were behind the backfield. I mean, he was killing it. And then quarterback pressures, he was breaking the pocket a lot. And I value that as much as I do sacks. I really do. If you're the kind of guy that's going to bring me, 5 to 10 pressures every game, you're going to be a starter. You know what I mean? I don't care what else you're doing, because if you're getting pressures, that means specifically that the quarterback feels your pressure and then has to roll out and react to it. Whenever you got a quarterback doing that, you're winning that down. Of course, are there quarterbacks that can throw on the run? Of course. But the odds of the throw getting there, the odds of the play being successful drop drastically from him just standing tall in the pocket, getting to look over the defense, and then just throw a laser. Every time I go to snap now, I'm missing the first one. I don't know why. The 49ers and the Eagles dominate because of defense. Eli, I can't argue with that. The Niners and the Eagles dominate with defense, but at the same time, that we can't ignore what their offenses do. Their offenses are very good. I mean, they're very good. I mean, the Niners, for crying out loud, their quarterback's number 1 in every statistical value you can measure that has to do with playing quarterback, period. He's not number 1 on certain minutia ones like quarterback, completion percentage. He'll be in second, or third that's bad. When this guy was a 7th round pick, you know what I mean? But think back, Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't, a star with the Saints. Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't a star with the Patriots. Then he went to the Niners, and then he built himself up to be, a respected quarterback. Now, I know he wasn't a star by most of our standards, but he went to 2 Super Bowls. I mean, how bad can you be if you made it to 2 Super Bowls? I know their defense is great. I know they could run the ball, but the quarterback is still where everything begins and ends. We can't start acting like the quarterback is a minuscule part of the plan just because the whole rest of the team is built up to carry him and support him a little bit. Terry Bradshaw. I will die going to the grave swearing up and down that the Steelers would have never, ever won all those Super Bowls and games they did were it not for literally everything else about the Steelers other than Terry Bradshaw. Their defensive line, their offensive line, their coaching staff on both sides of the ball, the ownership, everything. Their offense, their wide receivers, their running backs, their offensive line, the fullbacks, everything. The lowest graded player they had was their starting quarterback, who happens to be in the Hall of Aw Shucks. Because if it was the Hall of Fame, he shouldn't be in it. He should be in the Hall of Aw Shucks. Need that bald bum. Okay, and Val, before you start getting mad, try to remember your quarterback had games where he threw. You notice I said games plural because he did this a lot more than once. Where Terry Bradshaw would throw 4, 5 interceptions in one game and they'd still win. That's impossible. That's impossible. But check the records. That guy's a bum. He's a bum, the bummest of ever bums that actually somehow stumbled falling backwards into the Hall of Fame and now is looked at as a legend. This chubby, barrel-bellied, balding, egotistical, sexist, mouthy rat braggart. And yeah, I added rat in there too, because remember, he did say that Michael Strahan and Long were steroid users when they played football. Whether that was true or not, they never failed a test because they weren't doing all that when they were playing. It wasn't until long after they got out where it was all the random tests, all that trying to catch somebody. Come on, man. I couldn't believe that. I said from the start that if Antonio Pierce craps the bed, then he's got to go. But if he does, we'll keep him. Doesn't, we'll keep him. I think we're still might be a chance he can finish strong. Jim, I think there's a chance he could finish strong. But at the same time, I don't know if you want to give someone an opportunity that has the ability to create a game that we haven't seen since 1943. Now, for those who might not know what I'm talking about, what I mean is it was not since 1943 had we had two NFL teams in an NFL game go into the fourth quarter 0-0. We had not seen that since 1940, whatever. I think it was 43, to be quite specific. And that you don't do that by accident. Records like that don't get broken like we did, that are bad records, if you're a good team. I just believe that. You know what I mean? I'm hoping our Raiders can turn it around. I think we have everything to do it, but that scares me. A game where you scored 0 points. I would argue that any coach that came into the building the very same day could take the Raiders out onto the field and accidentally score once. On someone else's fumble, you pick it up and run it back. On someone else, the other team's throws an interception and you have the offense on a short field and you kick a field goal. Something, but not nothing. And then more importantly, as the game was progressing, you never got the impression that Antonio Pierce was saying to himself, you know what? We're in a 0-0 game. I got to do something. As the coach, I got to go to the offensive coordinator and say, come on, give us some of this and some of that and wiggle in some of this. My quarterback's struggling. We got to give him some plays that are impactful, short, quick, and we'll give him his confidence back. And you didn't see that. And that's because I would argue the offensive coordinator took the kid into deep water and then just kept testing him instead of realizing the kid's in deep water. He's supposed to be in the kiddie pool. He's a rookie. He's a strong, positive, smart rookie that has the playbook down. So as an offensive coordinator, you're going to lean on him like, yeah, this is my quarterback. Okay, we're going to run 23 scat, red dragon. No, bro. He's still, no matter how prepared or good he may seem to you, you got to walk him through these things, not ask him to sprint. And I think we just got all carried away because, again, you don't see numbers like that get set, you know what I mean, unless, there's something bad going on there. Bear, who gets more sacks on Thursday night, Max or Mac? I'm going to go with Max all day. For the first time in my life, I think Khalil Mack is missing something. Now, I could be looking at just lingering issues. You know what I mean? All veteran players have an injury, one or two involving a surgery 4 years ago that finally slows them down, gives them a little pain in cold weather, things like that. And I'm starting to see that off of Khalil. He doesn't look like Black Superman anymore. Still amazing guy. Still can, reach down deep, and do Black Thor kind of stuff and throw guys. But, maybe once, maybe twice a game. We saw a real outburst from him last year. And it was like, damn, is he really still that good? And then this year, I haven't seen any of it. Okay, our division is a toss-up right now. Somebody has to knock off the Queefs. No, the Broncos are on a run right now. I hate to admit that because I was laughing at Sean Casey. I was laughing at Russell Wilson. I thought that whole thing was a mess. I thought Russell Wilson and Casey wouldn't mesh. And now, I mean, they've won, I think it's 5 of their last 6. Now some of that's playing bad teams, you know what I mean? But it can't all be bad teams. We've been playing bad teams, you know what I mean? We haven't gone 5 and 6, you know what I mean? I'd like to see that. And we have a new quarterback just like the Broncos do. Steven Shaw, what's up, brother? Welcome to the show. With Jacobs and Henry both being a free agent, who do we pick? I would say you pick Jacobs, John. I don't see going with someone you don't know over someone you do. Oh, I got a question from Tommy. Mr. Bear, I know this show is about the Raiders, but my Eagles have played like poop the last 2 games. Do you think they can turn it around? Tommy, the problem isn't that the Eagles have played like poop. The Eagles aren't playing like poop. I could see where you might think that because, that's what birds do a lot, but not in this instance. What's happening here is you're getting some like Super Bowl hangover from the, Val, explain hangover to him for me. He probably knows, but they're a little bit hungover from the juice and all the energy from going to the Super Bowl and everything and being called by everyone the hottest team in football and all that, yeah. And then sometimes a team like that forgets that whole time you're winning, other teams are studying tape on you. And eventually all those cute trick plays and all those brute force, moments you had, suddenly they get schooled. In other words, schooled in the sense of the other team is watching video of those moments, watching how you did it. Who was the key piece on that play? Is it the center or the right guard pulling, or is it the left guard in the center pulling? And on that play, did they run play action? Did they go run pass option, RPO? And they study. And then you come back next year with your chest out, smiling. We're the Eagles, okay? Yeah, we went to the bowl. We didn't win, but we didn't win it, but we were there. Fly, Eagles, fly. Wait, what? Everyone's seen our tape now and knows what we do? Yes, they know what you do now, Tommy. That's the tough part. Now, can your team pull its way out of that? It could. Troy Gill says he wants Harbaugh as the next coach. Troy, we're always going to disagree about that. And if Jim Harbaugh gets hired and he does a great job, I'll be the first to admit I was wrong. I promise you. But I don't see it. I don't see it. I think if you really look at our locker room, I don't see it as a fit. I can't see Max Crosby liking Jim Harbaugh coming over and slapping his shoulder pads and acting like he's what gets the team fired up. Max Crosby was born fired up. Okay. If not everyone has noticed that by now, it's because they're not watching. Because if you watch him for 5 minutes, you can tell that the man has a lightning bolt running down the back of his spine. And every time he hears set hike, it pops and he explodes. Condor. Look it up. What's our best option for a mobile quarterback? Well, Alpha, I'm sure you've been seeing some of the news. They're saying that the Raiders may make a big play and offer multiple picks and maybe a player or something, cash, whatever the case may be, to move up to number 1 and get their opportunity to make a mistake and take Caleb Williams. Now, why would taking Caleb Williams be a mistake? Because when you're building a team, you go get a rookie quarterback of the future. But if you're not building the team because it's got a great tight end already, number 1 wide receiver, one of the best slant guys at wide receiver in Hunter Renfrow, etc. Kobe Myers and what he's been doing has been one of the best, if arguably not the best running backs in football. But now we're supposed to talk about, I don't know. I'm not good with Harbaugh. I'm just not good with Harbaugh. Should we get rid of Jimmy G Spot and Hoyer after this season? You know what? Yeah, just because they're going to be the architects of an offense that probably won't be a part of what we do next year, which will give Aiden O'Connell a heads up because he'll already be on the roster. The moment the season ends and they start wanting to implement this new thing, he'll be ahead of the curve so that if they bring in a veteran quarterback or they bring in another guy out of the draft, it won't matter as far as Aiden O'Connell will still have an eye on the offense. And if you haven't noticed yet, Aiden O'Connell is my guy. I picked him long before the Raiders picked him. I said he was the dark horse in the draft, and then the Raiders got him. That, to me, was a show of confidence by the Raiders in my assessment of what Aiden O'Connell was. Now, flash forward, he's had good games. He's had bad games. Now, against this Viking defense, he got scouted a little bit, and I just don't think he was used to that. And what happened is when he went to make certain decisions, there was defense there waiting for him, and he had to rethink and go back to reads. He was struggling with that and not looking at the pressure that was coming at him because he can't hold the ball on that offensive line, injured and shifted as much as it is beyond 3 to 4 seconds. The ball's got to come out. And the kid struggled with that because, you can have that philosophy. Okay, I'm only going to hold the ball for 3 or 4 seconds. But, if you're a quarterback, you've got a little bit of, confidence in yourself. You're going to maybe hold the ball a couple plays, maybe go to 5 or 6 seconds because you see a guy coming free and you think if you can stay on your feet, you could throw him one toward the sidelines, blah, blah, blah. And he was getting hit and, throwing balls that were getting flags for nobody in the area. And so intentional grounding. So I saw an article today that Jimmy G might get unbenched and start. Thoughts? Say it ain't so. Jim Vanderlyn, if that does happen, it means that Antonio Pierce is absolutely not the guy. He's absolutely not the guy. Why would you want to bench Aiden O'Connell now? Because he had one terrible game. Has he had good games? Of course. Has he had bad games? Yes. He's only had one game, this last one, that was pretty bad. Because even if the coach doesn't scheme you out of having no points, as a quarterback, he's got to take some pride and see some of those plays and, and just be better. You know what I mean? There were plays. I mean, it goes beyond just the interception he threw. There were plays that he threw behind Devontae Adams. There were balls that he threw low to other receivers. He was a little bit off in a few ways. He wasn't seeing his reads the same way he had seen going into that Vikings game. Now, there's 1,000 excuses we could make for it. I'm not going to. Those are just reasonable, understandable things that the rookie was making mistakes at. Will he get on the line, read his progressions, call out his mic, be correct about it, and then hit the open guy that punishes the defense, which is another problem young quarterbacks have. They get tired of just dumping it down, and the NFL knows that. So almost every defensive quarter in the league plays back until that quarterback proves to them, you know what, I'm going to 5-yard you and 7-yard pass you until you guys go crazy and then get a touchdown, get a field goal, get another touchdown, get a field goal. Well, now that you've played them out of that defense, that's what we have to do. And Aiden O'Connell, as a young quarterback, has to demonstrate the patience to understand that that's what teams are going to do to him. They're going to drop back into packages that look like 12 guys buzzing around the field. And in reality, they're just trying to make anything that goes beyond 10 yards impossible to throw. But if you throw anything inside of 10 yards, you're probably going to get, if not wide open, just one-on-one soft coverage, catch a ball. And if you wiggle that guy, you suddenly turn the play into a 12-yard, 15-yard game. And so he's just got to get his act together. I guarantee you he could go into this game tomorrow night. He could go into that game and absolutely play fantastic coming off of I couldn't score a single point game. He could come right off of that game, go out there tomorrow, Thursday, and play fantastic. Oh, and for everyone that's looking closely, and you've had a chance to look at my hat, at this point, I'm sure most of you have noticed it's not red, it's rose. It's like a burgundy color that I just call rose because I think it looks more like rose. But anyway, it's scarlet rose. It's supposed to be a Raider Christmas hat, kind of a mock-up of what like Santa's jacket looks like, and you made the hat out of that material. It's supposed to be like that, so that's why I'm wearing it, because I'm a big Christmas guy. I like to pretend I'm a big Grinch, but because I have all these shirts that say F Christmas. I do. I wear them every year. Every year, people just look at me like, "You're F Christmas? What's wrong with that guy? What are you, a devil worshiper?" I actually did have a guy say that to me in the line of a supermarket, and he started laughing. He was only kidding, but he just wanted me to explain why I was wearing it. And I told him because it does things to people like it just did to you, where you just couldn't believe I was wearing it, and you had to ask me why. I find that funny. I wear a shirt that causes you to have an emotion. That made me laugh. That is a great point, Bear. Please appreciate that, Carlos. Let's see. Could the Heisman Trophy winner from LSU be in our future? Honestly, if the Raiders are willing to sell out the house, but I don't think they are. And traditionally the Raiders don't do that. Not that they never have, but I can't remember the last time. We'd have to go back to like the 70s and 80s to think of a time when they did that last. But excuse me. And then I would argue honestly that we have a pretty good roster. I think they should just try to make a good run and get a veteran quarterback and then potentially look for a quarterback in this draft. In fact, I would do what we did with Aiden O'Connell. Just because you may need a quarterback, that doesn't mean you have to get Caleb Williams. I mean, most of you who know that Caleb Williams' numbers started to flag a little bit there toward the end of the season. Lost 4 or 5 games and looked, real normal at the college level there. Now, for example, I gave you guys 2 quarterbacks. I said to you guys that AOC was going to be a nice pro. Thus far, he's been good. He had a bad game coming off this last bad game. But other than that, he's been a good draft pick. He's a 4th-round pick. You have to remember that, not a 1st-round pick. So he's getting his act together. And by the way, the 1st-round pick, Bryce Young, he's playing like toilet water. And I don't mean cologne. It smells bad. It is not eau de toi. But, I like what our guy's doing. And he's a 4th-round pick. Okay. And then the other guy I gave you was Will Levis. And everyone laughed me off my show because I liked Will Levis. And now what's Will Levis doing? He's winning games, showing a cannon for an arm. And he's doing the one thing that almost everyone said he couldn't do. He's been humble. He hasn't said, yeah, I took the team and put it on my back and took it to Mount Olympus. He hasn't done that. You know what I mean? But he's been humble as a winner. I gave you 2 quarterbacks. And don't forget, I also said Josh Allen when he was coming out in the draft. They took him into the combine and he ran a slow 40 and everybody got down on him. I was like, okay, watch what happens. I didn't even know where Josh Allen was going to end up. I just knew we weren't going to get him. And I didn't know who was going to get him, but I said, whoever gets Josh Allen, just watch. And now look at the Buffalo Bills since he got there. There's arguments that he's the best quarterback in football because the Bills look like they're imminent of a Super Bowl the last like 3 years. And their roster, look at their roster closely. It's just a bunch of guys. You know what I mean? But when your defense can play downhill because your quarterback's got you 3 touchdowns, it's a lot easier to be a real good-looking defense. You know what I mean? That middle linebacker they have, Milano, is nice. But beyond that, I don't really like their team that much. Had we hired Eric Bieniemy instead of McNuggets, our offense would have been way better, gotten more wins with a dominant defense. I would argue, Alpha, that Bieniemy's ability to what we could expect to see were he a head coach, he's demonstrating with Washington and the Commanders. I keep wanting to spit out Redskins and have to hesitate. The Commanders, though, and he hasn't done anything particularly special with the Commanders. If you look, he's had a young quarterback that's been kind of win, loss, win, loss, loss, win, loss, win, loss, loss. You know what I mean? Just kind of ho-hum. Not a bad looking quarterback prospect, but, not anything you're going, oh, yeah, he's going to win us a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? No. And so I don't know that Eric Bieniemy's done anything since he left the Chiefs that you could stop and say, okay, let's go with Eric Bieniemy on that. Now, is that Eric Bieniemy's fault? I mean, he went to a different team. He left Andy Reid's scheme. Even if he took Andy Reid's scheme with him from top to bottom, you still need time to import that onto your offense. And then even if you do that, do you have the player personnel to run that offense effectively and with great success to where it's a winner? You see, all those things come into play. And there's so many times where we say, oh, that coach sucks. And in reality, he didn't have a quarterback that could understand the offense the way they wanted to run it. You know what I mean? And had he, understood it, it probably would have been better, We're a coach, quarterback, and an O-line away from dominating the league. Well, that's a lot. I mean, that's like the backbone of your franchise, So pretty much every franchise can say we're a coach, a quarterback, and an O-line away from domination. Every team, the Cardinals could say that. Let's see. If Caleb Williams were picked, I would be very worried. He may be the type that would be partying all over town. Anna Diaz, I love that profile pic. You look beautiful. And I would say this to you. I completely agree with every word of that. Every word of that. He's shown immaturity at USC. Why would we expect him when he gets money and fame that he would somehow become more mature? You know what I mean? I just doubt that. Although I've got to admit, I have seen that with Will Levis. Will Levis came in, he threw a bunch of interceptions, he got benched, he got humbled, and then he owned that instead of, oh, woe is me and sulking and acting like a big baby. He got up and he worked harder. And now, I mean, he looks like a franchise guy they're going to have around for a long time. Do we keep Champ Kelly regardless of what happens with AP? I would say definitively, John, yes. Yes, without question. Because he's making moves behind the scenes in signing DJ Fluker to be in one of our offensive linemen and bringing Brandon Parker to give us depth. And he's doing it with the thought of, I don't know where this team's going to go. He doesn't know if we're going to win out, lose out, or win-loss, win-loss, win. He has no idea. But even with that being said, he went out and tried to make us better for us to try and make a run. There are teams that look at us and they say, they need too much. They got off to a slow start. Their season's over. No matter what they win, loss, win. No matter what we do moving forward, we're not the kind of team that's going to go in the playoffs or make it in the playoffs. But even if we make it in the playoffs, are we the type of team that's going to go into the playoffs and lay the wood down? And I would argue yes, but teams that don't know us would say no, definitively. And most people that don't know us is just about everybody because they ain't got love for the Raiders. When Caleb Williams played against schools that ran a pro-style defense, he didn't look good at all, so it would be a mistake. Jim Vanderland, I'm not willing to go as far as a mistake, only because every quarterback at the college level usually experiences that a few games, and they even have struggles with it. But because it may say that at the college level, it doesn't mean it'll say that at the pro level. It just doesn't. You saw the same thing happen with Justin Herbert. You saw the same thing happen with Dak Prescott, where he was down, at the lower levels. They hit him with a pro-style defense, and, they didn't know. It was like, they were getting sacked and throwing interceptions. And that's just, trying to win a game, trying to run a defense that you can say to the pros, hey, you should take my middle linebacker. He understands reading, the offensive line, the quarterback, the cadence. He'll get your defense in and out of their positions if you want to flex and start at the line and look like you're in a 3-4 and then suddenly flex out into a nickel. This guy can do that for you. And you do that on the college level. You have guys calling those kind of defenses, running those kind of defensive calls. Those guys get picked up. We got a lot of Pro Bowlers on defense this season. Max Spillane, Hobbs, Kuntz, Amik. I'm still on the fence about Kuntz. We've seen a little bit of an explosion from him. I think it's because the coaching staff was released. And so he felt like he wasn't in the doghouse so much. And so when you took the leash off of Kuntz, he responded to it well. And you always hope to see that from players. You know, they all come in, they make their muscles, they get in shape, they flex, and they're all ready to go. I'm the best, blah, blah, blah. And then when you give them a real opportunity, they wet the bed and they play in 4 games and play well in 1. You know, and you can't do that. If you really want to keep your job and stay in this league long, you got to be consistent. That's why I loved our pickup of Spillane so much. And I made it very clear, although we've been in the middle linebacker rental business for like the last decade, the Raiders have, I think we might have finally found a middle linebacker that deserves a long-term contract. This is not a guy that in a year or 2 won't be a Raider. I don't see that. I think Spillane has really solidified the position and his name in the locker room. He's respected already. As far as Max and Spillane, I completely agree with you. And Hobbs. Nate Hobbs is another one. I told you guys, if we got that guy, we're going to be good. I got to start keeping my records. I saw Rhino in Dallas, got one of your custom bear pieces from Bling Nation. When will you have your new one made? Alpha, I've got them being made right now. So it could be any day now. It's just the process. I don't know how long their process takes. So that's why I can't answer that question. But what I can say is that I already have the ball rolling. In other words, they know I want the order. The order has went through. They have started printing my jewelry. Now I'm just waiting for them to get back to me and say, we're done. And then I'll announce it loud and proud, brother. Promises. Alpha, I would say sitting Jacobs could be a mistake because to me, you don't stop playing until you're out. Mama Bear and the dogs are in the other room. They were cooking last time I checked. Oh, yeah, and they were running around. We call it the zoomies here in the house because the point always comes where the dogs just sort of go, whoom, 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 whoom. And it's like they look like a ping pong ball bouncing off the walls. And I mean that seriously. They'll run and their feet will slide on the linoleum and then they'll start running a little hard again. And it's crazy. When did the show turn into about my dog? Stop that, Alpha. Let's see. What do you think of Antonio Pierce allowing the practice squad on the sideline during home games, unlike anyone else? Alpha, honestly, I think that what he's doing is he's trying to make a change on the team at the level that he knows. In other words, I feel bad saying this. I'm just being honest. You guys know me. I don't sugarcoat my show. If we're doomed, I'll say it. If we have a guy that's terrible, I'll say it. I was all on board with Josh McDaniels being fired when we hired him. So, you know, I get it. But I would say this to you. He's a player's guy affecting the team at a player's level. So for Max Crosby to say the things he did about he must stay and I want him to stay, you know, is reasonable because he's seeing a fellow brother in arms, a guy that's been in the trenches like he was. And not only just in the trenches, but right behind him, you know, because when Max Crosby lines up, the next person behind him is that linebacker. And that would have been Antonio Pierce. And he can feel that from Antonio Pierce when they talk football because he knows football. You know what I mean? More so than Max does because Max is still a young guy and Antonio Pierce has gone the gambit and won a ring. So he knows what it takes. And that's not a small statement. You hear people say, well, you know, you like to have guys on your team that have been to Super Bowls, that have won championships because they show you what it takes. There's some truth to that. There really is. There just is. There's some truth to that. There's a ball you would drop normally that when you know this could bring you to the playoffs, you pull that ball in and you do not let it move a centimeter like it's your baby and you're rolling through a fiery explosion. You know what I mean? And that's what players, you can't get them to understand that level of difference until they're around a player who does and did it. And then when you're around that, you start to get it. And I think that the rub-off effect that Antonio Pierce can have could be legit in that way, but will it be enough for it to be about the team winning? And I don't know about that. I think he still has time. I think he can recover from the no points scored. But as an educated football fan, podcaster, reporter, I would argue that 0 game bothered me. And you know, I'm Mr. Rah-Rah. I'm a Raider fan and a podcaster, but I'm a fan first. It's like all of you. And I'm just saying, to me, that was, and I'm all about Antonio Pierce. I want to see him win the job. I do. I love normal guys that just know football. You give them a shot and they just become the real deal. I would argue, not to drop names, I don't want anyone to get mad at me, but I would argue that's kind of what John Madden was. John Madden was just a dude. And when you say just a dude, for him, that's a compliment. And it really is. He liked the fact that he didn't get caught up in all the, I got to wear the perfect suit. And my hair's got to be just right. And I got to know how to talk to these reporters. And I got to know how to talk to these sponsors and PR guys. No, you got John Madden 100%. No matter what mask he was wearing, with reporters or with the players on the field, with the owner, you got John Madden. And I get that from Antonio Pierce. I get this sort of like, you're getting what you asked for. He is what he is. He's not being sneaky with you. You know what I mean? He's a simple guy who's very smart, but doesn't have to impress you with his mind or the way he talks. His vernacular is very different from other people's. And we love that because it's similar to ours, Raider Nation and the Bay Area where he comes from. It's just a pretty fit. I just hope he can show game adjustments, because if he can't show game adjustments, it's not meant to be. Alexa, resume. She remembered me. Yeah, I'm not going to explain why, though. That'll sound weird. Tommy, what are you still doing up? You go to bed right now, young man. Mwah. Love you, little buddy. You have a great day at school tomorrow. All right, that's my show. Much love. Shout out to our armed forces, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, National Guard, Space Force, for all you do. The energy and love of this show is dedicated to your sacrifice, active and veteran. Alexa, rewind 2 minutes. I don't even need 2 minutes. I wanted to catch it just before it finished, have it play some more so I could do my outro properly. That's right. I even have an outro. Watch this. No, I don't have an outro. Don't be, greedy. I gave you an hour. Stop that. Consider a subscription to Raider Bear Family page here on YouTube. Just click right down there and you'll see me every time I'm on here, and I'll see you. And it'll get awkward because we don't know each other, but we'll get to know each other, and then you'll love me. Oh, it's true. Ask Anna. She loves a bear. Raider Nation. I raid it! And you'll never, never, ever hear a better Raider war cry than your boy. I can do it on command. Just, I raid it! Ah! Let's go! Where? What? I missed you guys. I haven't been on in a while. I don't want to close the show. I mean, stop it. What's the big deal? I just want to talk to you guys a little bit more. No, I don't. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Raider Bear Family page. Peace. Peace. Peace.